So the Blackout beta is right around the corner, guys, and wow, do we have a lot of information finally. It's been quite the wait. We have really gone forever with little gameplay and really little information. We know practically nothing about Blackout. However, that all changed today in a rapid-fire fashion where so much was dumped on us that it's a lot to digest. So today, in this video, we're going to be going through it all and really compacting it down and just taking a look at all the information that's relevant and that you should know. I'd like to first state that all this information is well laid out over on Charlie Intel's website. I'm going to link their website and Twitter account down below so that you can follow them. They're good friends of Carnage and they do a fantastic job at putting everything together. I'm going to be looking at their articles for a lot of the conciseness. It allows for easier and smoother flow in videos like this. And of course, I'm going to be referencing Charlie Intel throughout the entirety of this video. So make sure to go check them out, guys. So there's 8 parts that I kind of want to go through. The first part being the images that we got. Then, we're going to go through some other major points. And then finally, the 8th category will just be a bunch of random different facts that David Vonderhaar answered for us in a rapid fire interview that he did with Game Informers. So let's go ahead and jump right into it and take a look at all the images that we have so far for Blackout. The first being this farm. This farm you can see in the background has some silos. You got a little cornfield. You also got a farmhouse in the back. You got a water tank. You got some trees. It looks nice. It looks like a cool little field that some nice paddles will take place in. Then we also have a look from a hillside where it appears that a squad is running down on another squad that is heading down to the cargo area where there's a cargo ship, there's cargo crates. There also seems to be a supply drop dropping from the air, which obviously will give loot of some sorts. So those are, in the game as well. Good to know from this image. You can also tell from this image that this game is in first person. I saw on Twitter that a lot of people were confused on the fact that this game is actually in the first person. It's not a third person mode like most other battle royales like Fortnite, PUBG, and H1Z1. Next up, we got a image of the windmills that we were told and we actually saw in the original Blackout trailer in the map that they showed us. We get to see this scene. You got the oil line going through this desert area. You also have those silos. This is a very interesting landscape because it's going to be difficult to point out enemies, and I like it. It's definitely going to be difficult to see people, but I like it. It's definitely a nice little landscape. You can also see that the windmill over on the right-hand side is on fire, and, that might be a something we want to look out for because who knows, it could break at some point throughout the game and crush players that are nearby. The next image is another scene from that farm that we saw earlier. It appears that 3 or possibly 2 squads are fighting. It seems like an RPG or a grenade has gone off, probably an RPG because of the trail. We also have the helicopter in the background. You can see that. And then these 2 squads are fighting each other. That one squad, wouldn't recommend doing that, guys. They kind of put themselves out. Even though they have the high ground, they put themselves out there in the open up on the water tank. The next image, we are looking at what is possibly a scene from a zombies map. In fact, that as we know, a lot of these locations are taken directly out of Treyarch games, and that lighthouse right there is actually taken from the Call of the Dead zombies map. But we can also see that there is the helicopter as well, and we can also see that the character is hanging off the side. He's shooting back at some enemies down on the dock. You got some explosions coming from the helicopter behind it. Definitely an interesting scene. There's a lot going on. It features a lot of different things. You can also see that there is the U-boats in the water. There's several there as well. It looks like even some of them are just with one guy in them, which is kind of interesting, but they're headed off into the distance to go to the cargo ship or something like that. But definitely an interesting image. I'm looking forward to heading over here. It's an interesting location because it's very set off from the rest of the map. I believe this might even be an island, and I don't know exactly the benefit of going there, especially, with the circle closing in. It seems like it's just not going to be a very high point of interest other than dropping right off the beginning of spawn and then taking a boat into the main island. Next up, we have another scene where you can actually see a character. It's more from a ground level perspective of the silos. You can see off in the distance, you can see that lighthouse that we were just taking a look at, but definitely an interesting little perspective, and the game looks fantastic, looks beautiful, and I can't wait to see actual gameplay of it. Next up, we have a scene from a mansion-like setting. You got some trucks and buildings on fire in the bottom right. We also have a maze on the left, which is quite interesting. I'm looking forward to seeing how that plays out. I guess running through the maze or kind of using it for cover or to hide from enemies that might be in the actual mansion and waiting for your squad to link up with you before you actually pursue them. That could be a strategy. I don't know, but the mansion definitely looks interesting, and I'm looking forward to taking on some gunfights in there. And then finally, I want to go ahead and take a look at this image, which is the image that kind of premiered all of this morning. and it's an image from a hillside where you can see some flowers. It's very colorful, which is nice to see. You can see that this one character is using what appears to be a sniper or possibly an assault rifle with an ACOG scope on it. Then there's another guy to the right, and they are shooting and taking on some enemies that appear to be on the major building that's in the map. This is probably one of the largest buildings in the map overall, and it's quite a nice looking building. I like the way that they designed it. It looks very fun, and I can't wait to actually try it out in game myself. But it seems like, as you can see, there's a helipad up on top. They're probably fighting some guys that are trying to get into that, and then you can see that it's also a building that's under construction. So you got some cranes, you got some exterior scaffolding, you have some unfinished work up top, but it's overall a nice looking environment. And I think, like I said, this is the largest and tallest building in the game, and it's going to sit on the side of the map, which is also an interesting location for it. There might be another large building towards the center of the map. We're not entirely sure, but this is what we have so far, and probably one of the most HD images that we have as well. Then also, I want to take a look at the overall map that we have so far. This map is going to be completed as time goes on, but this is what we have so far. These images were DM'd to different YouTubers such as Carnage Dexbot, Hollow Point, and Prestigious Key, and we're slowly but surely getting an idea of what this map's gonna look like. There's a lake, there's some buildings, we got firing range. You can see in this image, firing range actually has been confirmed to be in the game, and a lot of other really cool looking areas, one of which might even be Raid from Black Ops 2. But anyways, guys, let's go ahead and jump on to the second part. We also know now that we have 20 characters slash skins, you can call them skins, whatever you want to call them, 20 different characters from the Treyarch series that are going to be in the beta and in the game at launch. That's quite interesting. There's definitely going to be more characters added into the game as time goes on. I just want to play as Frank Woods. I really want to play as Frank Woods, to be honest, but you can play as possibly Ruin, which, by the way, awesome guy. And they're actually also open to possibly adding characters from other Call of Duty games in at later points, but at least right now, it is just characters from the Treyarch series. The player HP is actually at 150, and in fact, there is different levels of armor. So health is dealt with a lot more uniquely than from other Battle Royale games. I believe there is light, medium, and heavy armor in the game, and obviously these will protect you more than others, and obviously probably heavy armor is a better find, but also maybe more rare than light armor. And apparently bandages, regular bandages, can actually restore you to full health, at least as of now. There's consumable perks in this game as well. Perks will be found throughout, some of which we know actually the actual names of. These perks are consumable, so once you take them, they last for a certain amount of time before they actually go away, which I think is good for balancing, but actually at the same time, it's a bit concerning because I would assume that you'd be able to carry around the perks so that you could use these perks when they're necessary, when they're most primed to be used during. Otherwise, I feel like perks will just be kind of wasted and might not be found during prime times. I think that's going to be the case. I think you're able to actually pick these up and then consume them whenever they are most likely to help you. But some of the ones that we know so far are Paranoia, gives an audio alert when you're targeted by an enemy. Skulker, move faster while crouched and prone. Stimulant, increases max health by 100 points, which is, wow, that's really crazy. Outlander, reduce damage from circle, increase speed while taking damage from circle. Like I said earlier, this is one of those perks that I would hope that would be able to be used when it's most appropriate, because obviously that wouldn't be useful if you were not outside of the circle. Looter reveals nearby stashes and items, which is very interesting. That's kind of a perk that will help you find where there's big clumps of stash. Then you have Iron Lungs, hold your breath longer while shooting sniper rifles or diving underwater, which means you can swim in this game, which is quite interesting. Consumer reduces times it takes to use items, heal, or revive teammates by 20%. So that's kind of something you might want to use if you're in a difficult situation, you're getting, attacked by a squad, and you want to get your teammate up. You consume the consumer perk, and you're able to revive them a lot faster. Next up, we have Blackout numbers. So I'm going to share this screenshot with you guys. This is quite an important screenshot, and I hope you guys are still sticking around for this part of the video because, like I said, it gives a lot of information. This is a little sheet, and it says Blackout by the numbers, and these are different kind of statistics that were given, at least as of now, pre-beta and going into the beta. Let's go ahead and start off with, there's 3 tiers of health and armor, like we described. There's light, medium, and heavy. Then we have 8 primary ammunition types, obviously, which will match different kinds of weapons. We have 12 equipment items. We have 17 consumable perks. We only listed about 5 of those. We have 17 18 weapon attachments, which will probably include things like stock, rapid fire, red dot sight, ACOG, things like that. We have 24 different weapons, which is really interesting. I can't wait to see what weapons we have in game. And total, we have 125 items as of now. Very exciting, guys. They are coming at it strong. That is a lot of content. I'm not gonna lie, I'm very, very impressed, and I can't wait to actually get my hands on this game come September 10th. We also have zombies that are gonna be in the game. We'll actually be talking about those here shortly. And then there's a couple of POIs that are now confirmed that I wanted to run by you guys real quick. Those POIs include the following: estates, construction sites, array, Nuketown Island, firing range, hydro dam, asylum, cargo docks, factory, fracking tower, turbine, and Rivertown. Those are just a couple of the POIs to begin with. This map is huge, guys, and I guarantee there's more POIs than that. Super exciting, and I cannot wait. Now let's go through some rapid fire points that were mentioned, and there's more than this. There's actually 100. These were the ones that I thought were most important and wanted to share with you guys, so let's go ahead and start. Blackout has a player count of 80 currently. They actually tested up to 115. However, there's a good chance that once the actual game comes out, maybe not even beta, but once the game actually comes out, that the player count will be 100, and that's what I'm personally hoping for, especially because of the size of the map and the lack of mobility other than vehicles to get around the map. Blackout will have limited time events to use/unlock certain content, which is very, very interesting. It could be characters, it could be quests, it could be other things involved in the game. I'm really looking forward to seeing how that plays out. There's no plans for current cosmetic-based loots in matches, which means unlike in H1Z1 or PUBG, you can't pick up shirts or different like cosmetic looks to yourself, which, you know, makes sense, I guess, because there's characters, there's skins that you can have to begin with. Weapons do not have a rarity variation in Blackout. Does that mean that certain weapons will be more rare than others? Probably not, I guess. For the most part, most weapons will have the same drop rate as others, but at the same time, that doesn't really make sense, especially for perks. I could be wrong, but there is no listed rarities, at least as of now. Missions for characters and mission progression unlocks new content. So there's different missions that you're able to complete throughout the Blackout. And there's actually quests that when you get a kill, sometimes an enemy will drop a quest that you can actually pick up and can continue on from that point that they left off on. We don't know exactly what those look like, but I'm definitely looking forward to seeing how that plays out as well. Players can trade items between players, which is quite interesting. Obviously, this is between squads, and I assume that there's a more proper method than just dropping items. I guess there's an actual trading system, which is, you know, kind of interesting. There's also dead players. Dead players will drop their stashes, which you can loot. If you pick up a weapon that is quest related, you can take over that quest, like I was talking about earlier. Zombies spawn at least 4 locations that Vaughn talked about. There's specific areas, and he said to look for the ray of light if you want to know where those zombie hordes are. It's possible that the circle can actually close around a pack or horde of zombies, making that last final fight time of your life. It's going to be a fight for sure, and I really can't wait to see gameplay of that. There's going to be really awesome moments, probably especially in tournaments, if that were to happen. You can back up to 10 to 20 loot items onto the cargo vehicle. If you try to go over the limit, the loot will just drop off. So you can carry weapons and items around with you on a vehicle, which means that I feel vehicles will be an essential part of the playstyle because you're able to carry so much loot around with it, which is quite interesting. It's almost like you'll use these vehicles to get around the map, you'll load it up, and that will kind of be like your base. As soon as you finish a fight with a squad, you hop back on the vehicle and continue your journey looking for the next squad. Players are allowed to hold 2 separate primary weapons, which is, you know, kind of expected. I'm surprised they had to ask that, to be honest. Blackout will also feature a victory quote when you win. Players can find Ruin's grappling hook and other specialist characters' abilities around the map. You don't have to be playing as an actual specific specialist character to get your hands on those specific items. You can be any character and you can pick those up, no problem. There's actually horns on the vehicles, and they were described to be quite annoying. It's going to be interesting to see how that plays out. I don't think that there's any other use than overly confident players using them, because obviously that gives away your position. Blackout will have emotes, and Treyarch wants to have them in at launch. I guess they're trying to get them in at launch, but there will be emotes in the game, and that's super exciting. I really, really like the cosmetic aspect of games. It makes things more fun. It makes things entertaining. I like that. I'm glad they're adding those in. There's 5 vehicles in Blackout. Obviously, some of those include the, you know, the little bikes. You got the U-boats. You got helicopters. Vaughn wanted wingsuit during introduction to BO4, but opted out for parachuting, so that's kind of interesting. 20 characters to choose from at at Blackout launch, possibly 22. The game is currently difficult to run at 60 FPS for the size that Blackout is, but 60 FPS is still a target they want to hit, and it's not far from reach. I think that we're going to see it at some point throughout Blackout's life cycle. It may not be during the beta, and it might not be right at launch, but I guarantee that they will achieve 60 FPS at some point or another. Hopefully you guys enjoyed today's video. I know we covered a ton. If you made it to this point in the video, make sure to comment down below, hashtag Blackout. I want to know how many of you guys stuck around. I'm really looking forward to Blackout. It's going to be very, very exciting. Hopefully you guys are having a fantastic day. Subscribe to the channel if you are new, and we'll talk to you all in the next one.